All right, good morning or afternoon. My name is Greg Wadley. I'm the CTC administrator with CTC and Associates. We're here today for the implementation webinar on defensive driving for snowplow operators. Doug McBroom is he was a project chair for that subcommittee for a project that was performed by Virginia Tech, I believe. And so these implementation webinars are about 2 or 3 per year, and these are the idea is to showcase some of the implementation efforts on projects that are on completed ClearRoads projects at least a year after completion. So this webinar is being recorded and it'll be posted on the ClearRoads website by early next week for viewing by yourself or your colleagues at your convenience. So we ask that unless you're speaking, please remain off camera and keep your microphone on mute. However, if you do have any questions or comments, please enter them into the chat box and we'll address them at the end of the presentation. So with that, I think I'll turn it directly over to you, Doug.
All right, perfect. Thanks, Craig. I appreciate that. I have to admit, putting this together, I got a little misty-eyed and impressed with the number of ClearRoads projects that Montana has implemented, and some of the relations here. I'll point them out as we go through it. But really, what I wanted to talk about today is, how and why did Montana implement 1801? I was the chair, but the project champion as well. I'll give you kind of run through quickly what we present. We, like every state, make these projects. Once they're out, we use slide decks and things, but we make them our own, just like I'm sure you do. And then at the end, there'll be lots of time for any questions that you might have. So on average, it costs us about $2,600 for each repair. So we get some real minor repairs. In fact, most of our repairs, thank goodness, are minor repairs. But you have to consider that anytime our snowplow gets hit, there's obviously downtime for the equipment. There's downtime for the driver because we have to do a drug and alcohol test on them. But the other thing that we found out, and I'm sure you guys have as well, is that most of our wrecks are due to visibility in plowing snow. 1801 was designed for defensive driving for snowplow operators, and really the important piece on that was we can't drive the trucks and the cars for the public, but we can help our guys be aware that the public aren't aware of them. And so there's some things that we can implement from 1801 into our everyday driving practices and how we train along that. So just a little bit of a timeline. So we have roughly 700 snowplows in our fleet. And from 2016 to 2021, we averaged about 30 to 40 plow hits. So if you think about that, that's roughly 5% of the fleet have been damaged or taken completely out of service, depending on the severity of the damage, every year. And usually, always, they're hit at the worst time, right? They're hit during a snowstorm. I can't afford to lose the guy off the road. Yeah, we have to take him off the road, to take that piece of equipment off the road. So it impacts the traveling public tremendously. In 2018, Montana proposed 1801 defensive driving for snowplow operators. We were lucky enough to get that approved through the TAC, and I think that was completed in 2020. But a couple of events that also occurred in 2021, we introduced legislation to include other colors on our lights and our snowplow for our snow removal equipment. And again, that was results of a ClearRoad project, and then we implemented green lights. Kind of took a page off of Craig out of Iowa, his book, and we fully implemented those green lights in 2022. In 2022 to 2024, we had very light years, had our green lights, And we were like, all right, this is great because we're seeing less than 10 a year. As a matter of fact, the first year we only had one rear end collision, and that one happened to be on a plow that we hadn't fully converted to green lights. So we thought, all right, we've just found we found our solution. Well, this year our solution didn't work quite as well for us. So from September to March, there were 18 snowplows hit in Montana, and again, the leading cause of that was the creation of a snow cloud. But we realized from there we had to do something else, and we've implemented 1801 since 2020, but we didn't. And you'll see in just a minute, but we didn't really implement it to the extent that we needed to. But like I said, we implemented that in our advanced technician training. Typically, those folks that get that were employed with us anywhere from 18 to 24 months. So they had up to 2 seasons of snow plowing before we said, here's a good way to do some defensive driving if you're in the snow plow. We also incorporated that in our winter training, and typically we hit that anywhere from 1/3 of the folks around the state. We have right around 800 plow drivers, and so about 1/3 of that is 100 and some change. So we didn't hit everybody. It certainly didn't hit the folks who needed the folks that were right in that new for our years of service. So we decided on developing a formal first year maintenance tech training really around defensive driving. So I'll visit a little bit about that. I like to show this to all of my fellow maintenance guys because I think we pay pretty well in Montana. So feel free to let your guys know Montana pays well. We're always looking for good drivers. But we have 5 levels, 5 maintenance tech levels. And it currently starts anywhere from $28.59 right now, starting wage. And if you're at a maintenance tech 5, that's $30.59. Next year, they're going to get come July 1st, they're going to get $1 raise. So that goes up to $29.59 to $31.09. So pretty good raise. On the maintenance tech 1, that's usually the starting rate. That's where most people come in. However, it does depend on the experience. Going from a maintenance tech 1 to a maintenance tech 2, they need a 1-year time and grade. Going from a maintenance tech 2 to a maintenance tech 3, they need 2 years time and grade. So 2 years is a tech 2, and then they have to take our maintenance academy. And then finally going from a 3 to a 4, they need 2 years time and grade. Excuse my misspelling there. And then going from a maintenance tech 5, we do some more advanced training. So we've got 2 maintenance tech grades where we do in-depth training with them. And what we realized is this maintenance tech 1 was really where we were missing. So we did add a level 1 training this last year, and in that we included our 1801, the defensive driving. But following this training that I'll show you here in just a minute, we do take the guys out in the yard or even on the road, and there's some skills that they do with the trainers. So we get some one-on-one training, again, focused on the guys that have 3 months or less. This is their first winter season. So that's good. We do have Trevor Patterson. I don't believe I've included his email, but I will in the chat before I'm done in this presentation. I'll send this to, I'll do my best to send it to Greg. It's a massive file and it may not fit on the email, but I'll figure out a way to get it to you so you can post it. And anyway, the following slides will show kind of how and what we train. And if you're familiar with 1801, some of these will look really familiar. But essentially, we talk about the training objectives right off the bat. So we talk about the visual scanning techniques, talk about recognize your snowplows, no zones, in other words, where you can't see. Describe how to anticipate other vehicles' actions, identify appropriate evasive maneuvers. We spent a lot of time talking about minimizing that snow cloud. and then describe safe following distances and how to avoid things like road rage, which we get, I'm sure you guys get every once in a while. So that's what we train when we're using 1801. Some of that should sound very familiar. Again, we go over things like mirror lights, equipment, pre-trip, post-trip. We do that out in the yard with the guys. We talk about turning signals and proper use of plows and wing plows, and then how to select safe turn locations. That one picture I showed at the beginning where the truck and the sand was over, the commercial truck and the sand was all over. The guy was in the authorized turnaround zone. The truck driver fell asleep and smacked him. So we talk about that as well, and then demonstrate safe left turn procedures, which is one of our bigger hits. So talk about crashes, where the vehicle hits you. By far and away, most of our crashes, unfortunately, are in the rear. 19.2% of our crashes are rear end collisions. Another 11.3 are strikes on our wing plow. So there are some things that we tell the drivers that they can do to avoid that. This should look very familiar. I'm not going to show you the video, but this is right from 1801. It's a kind of a goofy graphic. I'll just show you just for a second. You know, of a vehicle driving down in the snowstorm. We talk about what the mirrors look like and what they see in front of them. And then we say, hey, did you identify all of the hazards? So this is a video that shows where the hazards were and allows the new snowplow drivers to really understand where their hazards were. We talk about this. This came directly from 1801, the scan, identify, predict, decide, and execute. So defensive driving really is more about scanning and identifying any potential issues, predicting bad behavior and what you can do. You're always looking for that safe route. If you have to do an evasive maneuver, decide when that happens, and then simply execute. So training, we try to get enough training with them. So not necessarily muscle memory, but it's not the first time they see someone kind of coming at them won't be on the road. It'll be in this training. We talk about scanning hazards. Again, this is right from 1801, and how to look for those. Look for hidden hazards. We spend time with them talking about the blind spot, talking about how often that they should scan their mirrors. We also spend time with them talking about some of the other hidden hazards. So during a snowstorm, if you've got curb that gets covered with snow or median that's raised, we visit with them, work with them to drive those routes that they're going to have well before their first snowstorm. I'm sure you guys do the same. Talk about where you can see and where you can't see, the no zone or the 5 blind spots. And then we have quizzes. So I did touch on one of those. How often are you supposed to look for your mirror? Hopefully you guys got that, but every 8 to 10 seconds. Anticipating other vehicles' mistakes. This is the big one. What other vehicle mistakes can cause a crash? Almost always is driving too fast for the winter conditions. We had a video from a trooper this year. There was a guy who'd slid off the road. He had the gentleman who slid off the road in his car. A commercial vehicle comes by going way too fast. There's probably 3 or 4 vehicles he passed, so he knew that things were icy and slid right in the trooper's car. Luckily, both the trooper and the passenger got out, but it would have killed him if they hadn't. But it was all on the dash cam. You could see it. Our vehicle's following too close. This is mostly for the rear end collision, and it almost always happens because there's a snow cloud. I'll hang out or I'll visit a little bit more about that. Are they driving erratically, swerving in and out of traffic? We tell them, not only is that bad, that's usually a sign that they might be engaging in road rage or will engage in road rage. If they're swerving in and out of traffic, they're obviously in some kind of hurry to get someplace. And if they get slowed down, they tend to get ticked off. So that's one of those telltale signs we hammer on with our drivers, like, hey, it not only is this bad behavior, erratic behavior, and something to watch out for, but this is the guy who might get out of his truck and want to fight you. Accelerating too quickly, braking hard, and then are there tire marks that indicate that the people are losing traction? And then, as always, we all know this, watch for vehicle brake lights well ahead. We talk about safe, evasive maneuvers. So one is, if you believe that your vehicle is about to hit, slow down, give them as much space as you can, change lanes, be prepared to make a safe emergency maneuver if conditions allowed. And we typically say go off into the if it's safe to do so, go off onto the shoulder. And then gradual braking and steering provides the best control. And we spent some time talking about ABS and braking and when to not brake and when to brake and when to use your gas. So this is one of the videos that I believe is in 1801. It may take just a minute to load. I like showing this video because I have a companion video from MDT. Okay, so that's a guy who hit that truck because there's a snow cloud. And then I think a lot of you have seen this. This happened this last year. I've shown it a number of times, but this is MDT's version of that. This is between Butte and Helena. That driver, so we were plowing that, and one of the things that you can tell on the hit, I'll try to pause it right when we hit. Okay, so we do have green lights. It's hard to see them right there. This driver didn't brake until right about this picture, but as soon as he hits, I'll stop or start this in just a minute. You can see a bunch of sand come out. So that's all the sand that's on our spinner. So we were in there for a reason. We were treating that roadway because of the conditions. And that's all the sand that comes out. So we talk about the snow cloud. And one of the things that we've harped on this year is, if in a passing lane, don't plow it if you don't have to. Don't be in it. And if you have to be in it to plow it, and you can wait till dusk or night, do that. But if you have to treat it because of the conditions, and this is counterintuitive to our folks, but slow down. Decrease that snow cloud, and we spend lots of time visiting with them on that, and I believe that 1801 addresses that as well. Again, speed's the number one factor in snow cloud. We talk about that quite a bit. Faster you go, the bigger your snow cloud that you have. But slow down. That's the biggest thing that we've messaged that we give to our entry-level driver folks. Then most of the time, the most common reason that people hit us is because they're going too fast. And this is where it sucks, because I'm sure you guys have the same policy, but we have a speed policy when we're plowing. You can't go, we recommend not going over 30 miles an hour. So if you're on a roadway plowing at 30 miles an hour and the posted speed limit is 80, you're going to have a 50-mile speed differential. That's the problem. People shouldn't drive that fast, but they do. I've got four-wheel drive. I've got studded tires. I can do that. I can make it that fast. My car is able to hit that speed regardless of the condition, and that's what puts our drivers in jeopardy. And so we talk about that quite a bit with them. And I believe that speed differential is also covered in in 1801. So again, best way to reduce, eliminate snow cloud. I've been talking about that this whole time, so I hope you get the answer right. It's to slow down. Road rage. We talked to our guys quite a bit about this, that everyone's in a hurry. They love the plows when they're not in a hurry. They hate the plows when they are in a hurry. So we talk about, being calm, never make obscene gestures, excuse me. We often say, give them a wave. That's 5 fingers. That's 1 middle finger for every day. So they typically like that. It's a good joke to have, and it breaks the ice. We want to make sure we pull over when we can, so we give other drivers a break, move over, get them to pass us. Don't tailgate drivers, and then don't be personally offended by their actions. So those are keys to avoid road rage, and we talk about that. 1801 talks about that a little bit as well. And then road conditions, we talk about this. This is right from 1801. We allow for safe distances, and then just be aware that in adverse conditions, it may take twice as long as normally to stop. And then this again, right from our Clear Roads group, we talk about how we have attempted to improve visibility over time. And so we did incorporate green lights. I'll show you the flashing patterns there. And if you notice, there's a wing, and we do have a green light on that wing as well. So I guess to summarize, and Montana really started implementing 1801 when it came out. We had that in our winter training. We had that in our academy, which is great, but we realized we were delivering it to not the correct audience. We want to deliver that to our Tech 1s, our entry-level drivers. So this last year, we developed a very comprehensive maintenance Tech 1 program that included the defensive driving for snowplow operators. It also included how to flag, how to even walk on a busy roadway, and how to scan for any kinds of hazards coming at you. So this was a concerted effort to get the training to our new folks as quickly as possible. So this has been implemented. We implemented this in the fall of last year, so this will be our 2nd year that we've implemented this statewide. Hopefully we see that number 18 rear plow driving hits go down. And by the way, of those 18, I would say roughly 12 of them were in the daytime, just causing that snow cloud of the rear end collisions that we've had. So happy to answer any questions that you might have. And like I said, it's really good to be presenting to this group. I missed you guys tremendously. So I welcome any questions that you might have.
All right, thanks, Doug. Appreciate that. So I didn't have any questions in the chat box, but rather than if anybody does have any questions, don't worry about putting them in the chat box now. Just go ahead and hit the raise your hand feature, and we'll call on you. And by the way, when the recording is ready and posted, I will send an email out to everybody letting you know, notifying you that it's been posted, but I'll also, for some of you who are a little bit newer to Clear Roads, I'll put a link in there, a reference to the project 1801 that Doug was referencing, that this information came from. So, and it's from there, you've got links to where you can download the safe driving training, the defensive driving training, and all those good things, and of course the report and the brief. So I see a Joe T. Thanks, Doug. The green light legislation in New York only allows green lights for snow and ice operations. Is that the same in Montana?
Yeah, Joe, it is. We actually had our law enforcement group, when we proposed that legislation, come in, and they said they were going to oppose it if we didn't take out red and blue as a possibility. So in our legislation, it says we can use other lights other than amber, but not red and blue, and only on our snowplow removal equipment. is what that legislation ended up with. Now, nice thing is this last legislative session, what we then saw is people using them. The parking lot operators use them. So we stiffened up that law and actually allowed for a penalty if you are not a snow removal equipment piece of equipment for a local government or state agency. You can get fined for that. So we're trying to make that green light really click in people's head. That's a snow plow ahead. So that's how we use our legislation in Montana.
Right. Thanks, Doug. Mike Madison from Nebraska.
Yeah. Hi, Doug.
Hey,
Great presentation. The question that kind of stuck in my mind, all of the thing about snow cloud and speed sounded, made a lot of sense. I'm curious what your level of compliance is. Do you have AVL that you can track that? And is it, there are times when we have plows out when they maybe aren't plowing much snow and they would be maybe putting down some material, which we'd usually want them to go slow for that too. But I guess the speed, I'm a little curious how that's been working for you.
Yeah, great question, Mike. So no, we don't have AVL. We're not an AVL state. I wish we were for instances like this. And as you might imagine, you're telling the speed differential is what really scares our drivers. And so we're now saying, let's make that bigger. So I can't tell you exactly what the compliance is. I think we really start hammering on this last season. So we'll be hammering it on it again this upcoming season. And I think we'll see in the numbers kind of where we're at. If I can decrease those daytime hits, that'll be a win for us. And it's interstate because Montana doesn't have too many 4-lane, non-interstate routes. So it's interstates, passing lane, daytime is the big hits for us. And we're now asking them to slow down, which is something I don't blame them if they don't want to do, but that's what we're trying to get them to do. But the big message too is if you don't need to be there, don't. So, if the passing lane's really in good shape, and even if you might want to put material down on that passing lane, if you're by that dusk hour, if you can wait till night, we're saying do it. If it needs to be treated, if it has to be, because people are going to hurt themselves and treat it. But if you can at all be off it, be off it.
Yep. Good. Thank you. Good presentation. Great presentation. Appreciate it.
Well, thanks, Mike. Yeah, miss you. It's good seeing your face, buddy.
Yeah, same.
All right. Anybody else? Okay. Well, thank you everybody for taking your time today, and thank you, Doug, so much for taking time away from your new position, which I know is occupying a lot of your time. But this was something we had planned for a while, and we were really happy to be able to have Doug do this before he was signing off. Yeah, so anyway, it's going to take a couple days, probably early next week. I'll go ahead and get this posted. We have a location on the Clear Roads website. We usually put it on the project page, but also on under webinars and other videos. If you find it under the resources tab on the Clear Roads website. And then I think, Doug, you said you were going to share the Montana DOT training with me. Okay.
Yep.
And now then, if we'll use like a shared page to sort of grab that from you, one of those shared drives, and then I'll put that on the members page somewhere, and we'll notify everybody so that you can find that. And of course, like I said, put a reference back to 1801 project page. So all the information when I get my hands on the training and when the recording is done, it'll be like one email. It's got everything in there you're going to want to know about this. So thank you, everybody. Have a great rest of the week. Have a great weekend. Stay safe, and we'll talk to you later.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thanks.
Great job.
Thank you.